Hi, it's Jenni Smith at Jenni Smith Sews with the Splendid Sampler to sew along. This week's block is called Balance, and it's always a tricky thing in life, isn't it? Kind of balancing everything that we have to do with time to create and stitch. I think this, in general, this Splendid Sampler for me is really good because I'm keeping up with it each week. It means I'm actually giving myself some time to nip into my studio and sew away from the family. We've had a heat wave in England this week, and World Cup football, so it's been even harder, but really enjoyable. The block for this one, because we've done lots of hand stitching, I kind of fancied getting back to my machine, so I've done raw edge applique, fused it on and used stitches on the machine. I'll talk you through what I did and show you the finished block at the end, so thanks for following along with me. So you can see that I've just, using the window, the natural light, I've just traced the outline of the elephant onto the wrong side so that I'm reversing the direction of the elephant here. And then I'm going to bring my bonder web here, which is blue side down, and position that and trace this and this in two parts here, so that when it's on the finished block, it will be, the elephant will be facing the correct way. The elephant's platform, it actually tells you to cut this shape and the opposite shape to create it, but I'm cutting one. I'm going to cut one shape out of one fabric and then the entire background out of the other, so that I'm minimising the raw edges here for when I go into machine applique around them. When I'm using bonder web, I tend to cut out the rough shape first of all. I don't do the exact cutting until I've got it fused onto the back of the fabric, and then I go in and cut out the exact shape with some smaller scissors. And I would usually put a pressing cloth on top as well, just in case if you have any excess bonder web around the edges here, that it's not going to stick onto your iron. So I just lay this on top. It doesn't need to be damp for this because it fixes very, very quickly. I am doing raw edge applique, so my elephant, I haven't had to add a seam allowance because I'm not going to be turning anything under, and I've put it on, I'm just about to put it onto my background square. Because I'm going to be doing some stitching around the edge with a heavier thread, I have interfaced my background square there with a light interfacing like I used on the clamshells block, so that it won't pucker. And in terms of positioning the elephant, because it's an uneven shape, what I've just done is I've measured equally from the tip of its trunk there, so 1 5/8, and then from the widest part here, the same distance, and I'm positioning it an inch below the top of the block, so that because the block's bigger initially and is going to be cut down to 6.5 inches, and then you'll have seam allowance, it will still sit 1/4 of an inch off the top of the block when it's in the finished quilt. I'm going to now press this on. It's got the bonder web on the back. I'm not going to position the stand platform that it's on yet, because as I'm going to stitch around this on the machine, it's easier really if this is out of the way for now. So I'm going to do the stitching on the elephant first so that I can get access all the way around, and then come back and position this and stick it down. For stitching around my elephant, I'm using this applique stitch, which also just looks like a machine blanket stitch. So on my Janome 603, I'm using number 19 there, so I've just increased the width a little bit, so this comes in. I just did some little tests of these 3 stitches to see which one I liked the best to get round the bends of the elephant. And also in terms of thread, I wanted it to have quite a defined look, so I've gone for the Aurifil 28 weight on the top, and you can use this with 50 or 40 weight in the bobbin for it to get stitching fine, and just check your tension as well. When you're stitching this blanket stitch, the key is to go really, really slowly and with the needle down when it pauses, so that you can just lift the presser foot and gradually move around the curves as you go as well, to see that you just stay on the outside. So just gradually moving it round And when you get going around the tighter areas, like round the trunk, you end up coming back a little bit on yourself, but I don't mind the details of that on that stitching really. And actually on the elephant's feet it looks quite nice because it looks like the little toes, so it's worked well there. The little platform I have just stitched over with a small zigzag on my machine because there's quite a lot of raw edges there, so rather than the blanket stitch I thought a zigzag would work better. I just set the width and the distance between the zigzags and had a little practice so that it kind of blends with the background colour as well. And that's an Aurifil 28 weight thread on the top again. Just used a sheet of carbon paper here to just transfer the details to embroider through onto my elephant. So that's the last job now. So here it is, my finished balance block for Splendid Sampler 2. I like the yellow background with the Liberty. The grey was quite subtle, but then as soon as I got that machine stitching around the edges, it really popped. I did a little French knot for the eye in the end and used Aurifil 12 weight for the other embroidery stitches, but doubled it up and did extra on the little tail there. I like it. I think it's really cheerful colours. I like the story behind the block and I love elephants. Lots of love also for Aurifil 28 weight. I love it on the machine with a good machine needle, and I think it's got lots of really nice creative possibilities. And I'm also just going to show you this gorgeous pin cushion that matches beautifully. This was stitched for me by my friend Hannah, who was the first person who ever came to one of my paid mum and baby sewing classes many years ago. And she made it for my 40th birthday, so it's very, very special to me. So on to the next block, and thanks for sticking with me.